All right. You know what? Okay, we're live now. Now we're officially live. I don't know if that Stiff Rod joke got in. So we're just dedicating the show to Stiff Rod. If it didn't start before, it's starting now. So Stiff Rod, if you're out there watching, Stiff Rod. All right, here we go. Today, guys, this is it. 1988.
And of course, we have our super special, so he's
Superstar.
doesn't feel slighted. 1988 guest host.
We won't bring
Todd
back Chris
LaTorre.
Holmes yet.
He warned us it might feel like a jilted lover if we go with somebody else for 1988. So we've invited him back because it's always a pleasure to have Todd on. And
I love it. Thanks for having me.
Todd has become like one of us now.
That's it.
oh, yeah,
Just a goofball. Talking.
his credibility
Pretty soon
shot
you're gonna cut your
forever.
hair. You're gonna lose your hair like us. And just don't care what you wear.
Hey.
All right, the list. And let me tell everybody out there, there's been a lot of back and forth.
Yes.
Controversy. We listen to all your comments, we read all your comments, and of course some stuff again we're going back to 1988, and I've started to use this now. Martin Popoff, a good friend of the show, okay, this is the Bible, right? And so if it makes this list, okay, if we find an album in here, the top 500 heavy metal albums of all time, which was voted on by the fans, people like us, people like you watching, so if it made this book, we're allowed to include it on our list as far as I'm concerned.
That's like the dictionary. That's
It's
a
like the
dictionary of heavy metal.
It's like the encyclopedia. And in Martin's book, 1988 fate is 5th place in years. The top years. It comes in at number 5, just for your information.
Okay. And just so you know, Todd, how Martin put it together, his father being a mathematician, he actually went, asking the fans and he statistically put this together as what is the greatest metal album of all time. And I think it was Metallica, right? Master of Puppets.
The album was Master of Puppets.
Master of Puppets, Metallica. Just so you know, and this is not a year. This is just the greatest.
So it's a like a consensus among the world or the U.S.
Whoever wrote it.
Whoever wrote it. I would say that it would be a global thing.
Yeah, probably.
Oh yeah,
right?
It's a global thing. Yeah.
Because we're in the global day and age. But they said that in that book, the number one album by all metal fans is Master of Puppets. Metallica.
I could see that.
I could see that too. It wouldn't be my number one.
See,
but I could see that.
Number 500, Black Tiger, Y&T. We get comments.
Well,
Y&T is hard rock. Why is it on the metal list? But
all right, here we go. Here's the Metal Voice shirt. I just want to put this post up. I don't know if you both can see it. And it was Tony. Tony goes, still heavy metal, just less heavy. He lost a lot of weight.
Yeah,
I guess he's
wow.
showing. That's a really cool picture he sent. He got a shirt not too long ago. So I thought that was pretty funny. And I like how he had that metal show and then the Metal Voice. So it's kind of like out with the old, in with the new.
There we go.
And I mean it in a nice way. All right, here we go.
So we have a
guys.
word from our sponsor here yet?
A word. That was the word from our sponsor.
Oh, okay.
A word from our sponsor. There we go.
Hint. There you go.
We might as well, right? We might as well.
Of course.
And also available on cassette.
Hey,
Look at
wow,
that.
look at that.
Look at that.
Who would have
Look at
thunk
that. On Look at that.
A real
That's
cassette.
a keeper. That's a keeper. Look at that.
All right, well.
I had a box of cassettes and I just chucked them all.
You're going
in
to
the
pull out a
garbage.
cassette there. Spoiler alert, Vixen did not make our top 10. Okay?
No.
Vixen did not make the top 10.
Too much hairspray. All right, here we are.
All right, here we
go. Let's go. There is one contestation on this whole thing, and we'll get to it. It's number 7. It's an either or. You tell us what you think, but we're starting off with number 10. I will put up the visuals. Alan, you can.
I'm just putting this on
Ozzy,
because...
and in case you didn't get the latest version, Ozzy, no rest for the wicked. Number 10.
Zach Wilde was in the band. Ozzy's back to looking like no longer looking like a drag queen. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, there's some really strong songs in there. Metal Miracle Man, which was his revenge on Mr. Swaggart, Jimmy Swaggart, who dissed Ozzy for years, and he got caught with his pants down. So Ozzy was able to get his comeback, his get back on Mr. Jimmy Swaggart. And Devil's Daughter, Crazy Babies, which I would say probably that and Breaking All the Rules was the hit. hits off of that, and the Demon Alcohol. I don't know. I just thought it was a great guitar album. Ozzy back in form, and based on everything else I saw that year, and I was not allowed to put David Lee Roth's Skyscraper or Van Halen's OU812, so I decided to go with Ozzy.
That's another thing we could talk about. But Todd, have you ever met Zach Wilde?
Yeah, I'm friends with him.
Okay,
There
good.
you go.
Yeah, he's a
All
super cool guy. Yeah, I mean, he's awesome. That was the debut record for him
Yep.
with Ozzy, and I always loved Miracle Man. I thought that's probably my favorite track on the record.
You're busted. And Bob Daisley's back in the portrait
Bob
here.
Daisley is back.
Writing the music and writing the lyrics, and
Yeah.
their
So
on and off again relationship is back on. So
went double platinum in the United States on the Billboard. And, it was the fifth album, and it was a return to sort of a harder edge, right? Whereas,
Randy
it was
Castillo
Ultimate
on
Sin.
drums.
Yeah. Ultimate Sin was a little bit off. What are we doing here? A little too much pop, a little melodic. But now they're back to that sort of dirtier sound, even though the Hairspray's still there. Any last thoughts on that, Todd?
Not really. I mean, it's a really good record. Again, Miracle Man for me is like the standout track. I know like Crazy Babies was a huge hit, but I never really liked that song. It was just the crazy. I just didn't like the phrasing of but I loved the guitar work in it. It was just, I don't know, just I didn't like the verses and all that. But Miracle Man for me is like, it's such a killer album opener, and yeah, that's a noteworthy track for sure. But I mean, that was a huge break for Zach, and
great guitarist. Great guitarist. He's
an
a
awesome
great guitarist.
Yep, he's a great singer too.
I think Alan, when we went to Heavy Montreal, he was there, but we never got that interview, did we? We were kind of waiting around. He was walking around.
Yeah, we tried to get, but it never happened.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's all good. I just want to say that what didn't make the list, and there's a little spoiler here, is this OU812 and Skyscraper.
Thank goodness.
Well, like when we first showed Todd draft version 2 with OU812 and Skyscraper,
I was like, "Hey kid, get off my lawn!"
Hey kid, get off my lawn! You kids, go play somewhere else.
What do you want to do with your life?
So, I mean, okay, and now I'm tossing it out to everybody. Should Skyscraper by David Lee Roth and Van Halen OU812, should they have made this list? Todd is saying completely forget about it. But I mean, I would say Skyscraper does have some merit. I mean, you have Billy Sheehan, who's always been involved in that sort of hard rock and metal. You had Steve Vai, who's the
It's not metal. It's not metal.
Well, I mean, back then you could have said it was metal, Todd. Skyscraper, okay. I mean, had that big hit.
It's not metal. We'll let the comments weigh in, and we'll see. That was my contention.
Oh, Perrin says
we
they're
listened
not
to
worthy.
Todd. We listened to Todd here, and we said, you know what? Let's go to version 3 and our list, and we remove that, and we'll let you people out there tell us Skyscraper and Van Halen OU812, should they have been on the list, and are they considered, or were they considered?
It's looking bad.
Everyone is saying no.
Yeah.
No.
So.
Well, no, because they're weak albums, or no, because they're not metal.
I mean, they're just, even if they were great records, they're not metal. So.
Okay.
All right. Moving along.
The line has been drawn.
Moving along. This is one for Todd now. One for Todd. Where's my album? Where it is? Here it is. I'm just going to show everybody Transcendence, Crimson Glory.
There you go.
This is a band, and Todd, maybe you could speak to this. I'll let you speak.
I have a little insight.
I would think so.
I mean, let me see something real quick. Yeah, this to me belongs way higher in the list, but it's on the list, so I will give some commentary. I mean, look, Crimson Glory was somebody's asking where's the feta? It's in my fridge. Crimson Glory 100% was a pioneering progressive metal band, just like Queensrwche. Okay, same time frame. They toured with Queensrwche. no one, in my opinion, no one ever sang with the emotional delivery and the passion like Midnight did. Now, Dio sang with tons of passion, but the crying, the pain, the delivery that Midnight has to offer is unparalleled, bar none, in my opinion. Nobody comes close. That song is among the Crimson Glory audience, is the record. That's the mind crime for Queensrwche. That's their mind crime. Transcendence is still hailed as one of the best prog records of all time in the progressive metal genre. So yeah, it definitely belongs on the list. I think it belongs way higher as we get through them, but I'm glad that it made the list. Somebody's saying King Diamond does. Listen,
We'll get to that. We'll get to
yeah, I mean, Midnight's delivery is just, it's sick. And
it made Martin Popoff's book, right, Alan?
I believe so. Hey, let's check it out.
And also, you know, there's a ton, the guitar work on it is very melodic. I mean, if people aren't familiar with Crimson Glory, I highly recommend.
When you were in the band, did they make you wear that mask? Like,
they didn't
were
make
they still
me
doing it?
No, they didn't know. They were okay. They were also the first band that I've ever known of for the whole band to wear a mask. Now Slipknot wears a mask. A lot of bands wear masks. Peter Gabriel wore a mask in Genesis. Yeah. But as far as the whole band goes, Crimson Glory was the first band to wear full masks. They ended up getting rid of it. When I joined the band, we ended up doing a 25th anniversary tour, and we talked about doing the song Lost Reflection, which was a fan favorite song that Midnight sang. It's just a very droning, clean guitar thing, and it's all about the vocal in that song. They had a custom mask made for me that I wore on that tour. Uh-huh. And to people that don't get it, they might have thought it was ridiculous or silly or funny, but
I think it's cool.
It would be like
it's cool. It's a nice touch. Yeah.
But it was like when Kiss came back with the makeup again, you're like, oh wow, there it is. Yeah. And so they were very, very forward thinking band. And yeah, they're just a phenomenal band that deserves way more credit.
This is actually one of my favorite hard rock prog metal albums. Okay, I love this album. Yeah. I mean, you can't. The similarities between Midnight and Jeff Tate. I mean, and when you look at the history of both bands, it was the same time, even though they came out with their albums a little later, right? But the band
and they toured with Queensrwche.
Wow.
Yeah, they did. I don't know if they toured. They opened for Queensrwche, but everybody thought they were a European band.
Yeah,
a lot of people didn't know they were a band from the U.S. They're highly revered in Europe. Over here, they don't really have a big name.
Was it Jeff who took a little bit of Midnight, or was it Midnight who took a little bit of Jeff in their voice?
Well, I don't think either. I mean, from what I understand, Midnight wasn't even really a heavy metal fan at all. He was a massive Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd fan. Mm-hmm. And so, but he just had these crying inflections and these, you know, those little nuances that Tate had. Tate was more of had a deeper voice. Midnight's voice was thinner, but I mean, he had range that Jeff Tate never had. And he just had a certain emotional delivery. Every single word had something special in it. Yeah. If you listen to a song like In Dark Places and whatever. So that's my 3 cents.
The big hit off that album was Lonely, right? That was the hit. And you know what? This was included, and I'll give the justification to this, because it's been a critically acclaimed album all these years. Totally. The songs are great, production's great, and they're bigger in Europe than North America, but that still counts, right? Just because something's not big in North America, that doesn't mean it doesn't count.
All right. Global.
I mean, there are bands that I remember talking to Morgan from Seven Dust, and we were talking about touring and this and that, and he was like, "Yeah, we're not really big in Europe at all." And I was like, really? I'm like, Seven Dust? You guys are a big deal here. He's like, not in Europe. And I was like, wow. And then there are European bands. I mean, look at bands like Sabaton. They're
Yeah.
massive in Europe. Over here, they're not. They're not.
Yeah.
So
So they want to know, and we'll get off of this and we'll get to the next one.
Well,
How did Midnight...
maybe my comments might come in useful. I don't know, Jim, if you're allowed.
Oh, hey.
Sorry, Alan. All right, sorry.
we'd like to welcome our guest. Thanks.
Go ahead, Alan.
Okay, so to answer your question that you asked 15 minutes ago, Jim, it came in number 206 out of the top 500 album. I want to thank Todd for introducing me to this. I thought it was a band out of the 90s, and listening to it, man, like you said, King Diamond mixed with Jeff Tate in Dark Places. You can hear the Led Zeppelin influence in there. Lonely. Man, this is like Seeds for Camelot when you listen to that song. I don't know if there's a Florida connection there or not, but man, I heard some Camelot in there. And then this whole album was like Empire before Empire, right? You hear a lot of the Queensrwche. I'm wondering if they were writing in the same studio at the same time almost. That's how much of a parallel these two bands, in my estimation, had. And again, I'm one of those guys that didn't even know Crimson Glory existed in '88. So,
I think they formed in '81, if I believe. I'd have to read up on it again or ask the guys, but pretty sure that they started in like '81. Their first record came out, self-titled. It's so good, but I'm glad that you leared of them and did them. Thanks. And absolutely.
That's what it's about, right?
That's what the whole show is about. Yeah.
And on a last note, somebody asked, how did Midnight die? Midnight died, I believe it was liver failure or liver.
Yeah,
cancer?
it was. He had alcohol problems, and he passed away, I believe, in '09. I think it was '09, and then 2010 was when they did the memorial concert at the Prague Power Show in Atlanta as a memorial to Midnight. And that's when I got to do my first appearance with the band as a guest singer among all these other singers, Mark Bowles and a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And then you hit the stage and they go like, holy crap, we just found, this.
I mean, people were saying like, the spirit of Midnight lives through Todd. Like I was the reincarnation of this guy. It was pretty nuts. It was nuts. It was nuts. People, I remember going to Europe. It was my first experience doing that, and like people crying, and like literally, like this one guy came down and like wanted to kiss the boots I was wearing for like he thought I was like channeling Midnight from the cosmos or something. It was like, I mean, crazy fanaticism, a very cult followed band. But highly revered and super underrated.
And then before you could, and I'm just going to leave on this, I think it's fascinating. And then before you can sort of actually record anything with the band, you moved on to Queensrwche. That's kind of like, right?
I was actually I was in Crimson Glory and Queensrwche at the same time, and we were writing a concept album. It just got the guitarist of the band was involved in drugs and dealing. He got busted, and it was a big issue, and the band we were all kind of waiting around for him to get his act together to do a record. And I just got tired of waiting, and I just said, I can't wait around anymore. I gotta go. And I just stayed with Queensrwche, obviously, and that was it. But I'm still good friends with everybody else in the band. I don't talk to John, but everybody else in the band I talk to, here and there, and everything's good. And yeah, it was awesome experience. I mean,
one thing leads to another, and Alan, to sing this type of music is just not, your Bruce Springsteen type of singer. This requires some serious chops.
It's probably the most demanding. Yeah, Mike Gallagher says harder than singing Jeff vocals for sure, all day.
Oh yeah.
Crimson Glory is
just the whole album.
Red Sharks there's a ton of stuff. But anyway, yeah. All right. Glad it made the list.
All right, here we go. Now this is sort of one of mine. If you guys ever saw Clerks 2 with King Diamond.
I never saw that.
You never saw Clerks? Grandma! And
I saw the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Coming in at number
Oh, okay.
100,
I know what we're doing.
111
Number 8.
in Martin Popoff's top 500 is the next album.
Yeah, and I I go.
What
I
number,
put King.
Alan?
111 out of 500.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good out of 500, eh?
Surprising.
You know,
for
yeah,
myself,
Nicky
not
D
for
on
Jim.
drums. Look, in the King Diamond world, the opening line to Welcome Home is iconic. You know, everybody waits for it and everybody sings along to Grandma, screaming Grandma. I'm not going to scream it because I can't. It did well on the charts for King Diamond. You know, 200,000 copies back then. That was good. Invisible Guest, Twilight Symphony. Maybe the production is not the best. If you don't like that voice, and I know Todd and Alan, you guys, it can irritate you a little bit, that kind of falsetto, right? You either love or hate King Diamond. John Zazula said it best. You know, his voice was his secret weapon, but at the same time, it repelled people in a sense.
Like
right?
an asset and a detriment at the same time.
That's
Either
right.
really
That's
dig
right.
it or not so much.
Yeah. So, anyways, to me, them and also, that is one of the King Diamond classics. I don't think you could put a top 10 list in that era and not have King. While everybody was playing the melodic songs, King stuck to his roots. He did concept albums he didn't give a crap about. And even though the record company was pushing him to get more melodic, he wouldn't. He writes a concept album, part 1 of part 2 concept. And today in Clerks 2, it's part of our pop culture to scream Grandma. Guys, any?
Take your word for it, Jim. If I think Jim will be able to put King Diamond in every year if he could, and hats off to him. But not exactly my cup of tea. So,
Todd, any comments on King Diamond before I leave King Diamond?
I mean, like I said in the last time when he came up, I really like the music a lot. I think the music is great. I like his lower register. I'm just not a fan of the sound of the falsetto, breathy high thing. If I want to hear high notes, I want it to sound powerful, like a Halford delivery or something like that. That's just my personal taste. I'm not ragging on the guy. He's very talented. It's just again, it's not my, like Alan said, it's just that's particular sound isn't my cup of tea. But
So it's my cup of tea, but not your 2 cups of tea.
yeah,
It's all, and it's good. It's all good. It's all
Yeah.
good.
it's all good. It's all good.
It's all good. All right, here we go.
Skyscraper.
Here it comes. Here comes the battle now. Okay, so we had Todd saying,
okay,
guys, we cannot do this list without Testament, the New Order, and then Alan's going off on the other side.
No
saying,
disagreement. I think what I took away from their, or not to interrupt you, Jim, but I did. What I take away from this is really, you can see 1988. We saw a bit in 1987 where thrash and the hair metal's kind of really getting farther and farther apart here, and it was a strong year for thrash. So yeah, I have no problem putting Testament on the list.
All right.
So
okay. Well, you didn't mention the band yet.
Cinderella, Long Cold Winter, and Testament, the New Order. And everybody out there, you tell us if Cinderella or Testament should be on this list. Yeah, it's a little rough.
Testament.
It's a little rough, that album. Go ahead, Todd.
Okay. That the Cinderella record is awesome. Okay. No doubt.
Yeah.
But I caught flack for putting White Lion in when bands like and we talked about this when bands like Bathory and Death. I mean the band Death, who are the godfathers of death metal, didn't make that list, and then I put White Lion in. Okay, so I tried to be more true to the metal category. And I put hair metal, which is kind of an oxymoron for me, but I get it. Mm-hmm. I let that take a back seat, and I wanted to focus more on just the metal aspect. Yeah. The New Order from Testament, that album is so good from start to finish. I mean, you have, they put out a video for Trial by Fire or Nobody's Fault. Disciples of the Watch, Into the Pit. All these songs are just so good. They're not even in the same, again, night and day between Cinderella But if we're talking about metal albums, Cinderella is not a metal band, period. They're not a metal band. Testament is. That's why I voted for Testament, and I pushed against Cinderella, even though I love Cinderella and I love that record.
All right, Alan. I mean, it's kind of like a white lion, like you said, right, Alan? What do you?
Again, I'm putting my hat on back in '88, and these guys were being promoted as metal bands, which I agree with Todd. This is a blues album as far as I'm concerned. You know,
it's not a metal album.
Exactly, but I mean, they were opening. I saw them open for Dave Lee Roth. Oh, wait a minute, he's not metal either.
He's not.
August 9th, opening for David. I still remember his solo for Long Cold Winter. It was chilling. I had goosebumps just thinking about that solo Tommy Kiefer played during that. But I mean, this was one hit after another, Falling Apart at the Seams. Gypsy Road was a huge hit. Then they got the piano out with the obligatory ballad with Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone, Long Cold Winter. And then they got, deeper tracks like Coming Home, A Second Wind, Last Mile. So for me, I just love this album. But again, we're just going back to, putting my 1988 hat on. And myself, I would just get a little bit out of the thrash movement at that time, and I just preferred this album. It's not a big thing. Testament should be just for your information. Testament came in at number 132 out of the top 500.
Was Cinderella in that book?
Cinderella was number 411. So I think a lot of people would agree with Todd.
Here's an interesting fact here. So Perrin, my buddy, right? He says Cinderella opened for Priest on the Ram It Down tour, right? It's interesting because it does fall into that white lion category, the hair metal. I mean, white lion's really not metal. But
hair metal was a huge thing back then.
And Cinderella Night Songs, and even this album, Long Cold Winter, there's that screaming vocals, that AC/DC shrill, right? Guitars are loud, and they're the fans were metalheads, right? They weren't guys, with white.
I'm a metalhead and I love it, but again, if you had a metal festival, they would not be on it. They're not a heavy metal band.
All right. Well, that's it. What do you guys think? Cinderella or Testament? That is the duel on this list. All right, here we go. Number 6. This is sort of like the dark horse of it all. Ready, Alan? You got your album?
I don't know about a dark horse.
I got to see what this one is. Oh, okay.
Okay, here's a dark horse. Alan, you got your album there?
No.
Oh, geez.
Oh, yeah. I got it. I'm ready when you are.
Okay, here we go. Now, there we go. Okay, here we are.
Thundersteel.
Thundersteel.
Okay, so this, if we go back to 88, this went straight into the liquidation bin right away. Okay, I'm telling you. But then I'm reading how this album changed power metal in Europe. These guys were influential. This album was the sole reason why speed metal or power metal exists. And I have to admit, I went back and listened to it. I bought it years and years, decades later, actually. And I listened to it recently, preparing for the show. And yeah, I can see that's the case. I can really see that's the case. There was something that was probably not happening at that time, and they're the originators. Not my favorite Riot album, but yeah, definitely a game changer.
Todd, did you put it on? Did you have a listen?
I did have a listen. They've had, I think 6 singers now.
Yeah, 5. Yeah.
Well, 6 if you include Todd Michael Hall.
Okay.
But anyway, I mean, I looked at, because I'll be honest, it's probably blasphemy, but I just really am not familiar with their material. We played it in Essen at the Tour Rock. It was an outdoor show in Germany. It was I think it was one of the last shows of our last European tour. And I mean, I heard these soaring vocals and a really good band. And I was like, who's on stage? And it was Riot. And I was like, holy shit, this guy can sing, and he's a phenomenal singer. But I just really wasn't that familiar. I listened to the record, really great band. So I don't have anything negative at all. But like Alan, I did, some reading and whatnot. And it seems that it that was a totally different record from their earlier albums, which I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Was the old stuff like more thrashy, and this is
It
more
was just
power metal?
pure rock and roll
No.
coming out of the 70s, hard
Think-
rock out
Oh,
of the
okay,
70s.
okay, okay.
And they
Think
went
of more like April Wine. Think of more like BTO. That's
Y&T.
kind of Y&T. They're a hard rock,
Okay,
guitar-driven
okay.
band.
Then,
Oh,
then
sorry,
with
Montrose.
Rhett Forrester joined the band. They went more to a kind of a bluesy kind of Bad Company kind of hard rock sound.
Okay. So when
this was a
record
game. This
came
was
out, this was
yeah.
like, holy crap!
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is what? This is Riot, huh? What? Really?
Wow.
So
Okay.
Megadeth was kind of coming up, and a lot of these other bands were kind of coming up. This was the third singer, Tony Moore, is the vocalist. I mean, I like the band so much. I did a documentary on these guys. Riot came from this sort of classic hard rock, guitar-driven music to power metal or speed metal, you want to call it. Donnie Van Staveren, who co-wrote half the album with Mark Reale, the guitarist, rest in peace. He chose a more, that speed, power, high vocal, high octane kind of sound. And you know what? To Alan's point, it was big in Europe and it did well in North America, but it was a lot bigger. And today they're still a lot bigger. In Japan, they're huge. They influenced a lot of those European bands. And when you listen to Hammerfall, they do covers of this album. Songs from this album, and other bands in Europe do a lot of covers off this album. So it does have its place in 1988 as a sort of classic and genre defining. And where was it?
Number 453. Voted on. There's not Modern Pop off the list. This is voted on the fans of Brave Worlds and Bare Knuckles or all the other magazines. So anyways, I just thought we'd throw that in.
Todd Michael Hall was actually on The Voice.
I know.
Yeah, and he should have won, but of course they didn't, push him through. But anyways,
yeah, he's got that guy's got crazy high range, and he's a very clean singer.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, guys, you ready for this?
There we go.
See what it is.
Number 5. You know your list, or does everybody know what's
I
next?
got it.
Oh, we know, yeah. Sure.
Okay, good. All right, here we go. Bada bing. Blackett. Blackened. There we go. So, okay, Alan. Metallica, Injustice for All. I was let down when the album came out.
I was too, actually. I'm putting on my 1988 hat here. Okay, guys. The video for one, fantastic, right? Unbelievable.
Yeah,
the first video ever. They knocked it out of the park, home run, unbelievable. Waited years. They finally did a video. It was fantastic. And then you listen to the album, just something didn't sound right, which we found out quite soon that there was no bass on it. And the songs weren't as strong as I found. And I'll be unapologetic. I'm one of the guys that think those first 3 albums are pure gold and really didn't listen to anything after those first 3 albums. So that's on me. That's on me. But listening to it, preparing for this show, it's not as bad as I remember. It's a good album, but again, I'm sorry. For me, Metallica is those first 3 albums, and then that's it for me. So
what always blew my mind is they redid this album, they remastered it, they repackaged it, they did all this, and they still left off the bass. I just blows my mind. Go ahead, Todd.
I love this record. I mean, the guitars are like Ride the Lightning. I didn't really care for that much. I mean, obviously, Master of Puppets is amazing. I think this record, despite not having fucking bass, which sounds like the dumbest thing you've ever heard, it did have that sound where it's like, okay, something sounds different about this record. And you know what? I didn't even know that it didn't have bass, and nobody really. But
right.
We could put our finger on it.
Right. Yeah, but
something.
But the guitars were so crunching. They always had this overload, gotta go. There would be this after they would chug on the guitar, gotta go, and it go. What the hell is that? But man, songs like Harvester of Sorrow and what's the one? Dear Mother, Dear Father, what is this? How you have put me through in a deceiver? Oh, I mean, it's a solid record, super solid record. One of my favorite kick drum sounds on any record is off that record, and Vulgar Display of Power. Those are two of my favorite bass drum sounds.
Dyer's Eve, that's what it was. Dyer's Eve, yeah.
Okay, that's the one. I mean, his drum work's killer on this record. The rhythm guitar playing.
He gets a hard time, doesn't he, Lars? Everybody keeps putting him down. I always thought when I first heard Metallica,
I think he's way better than people give him credit.
I agree, man. I agree. I think people really shit on him, and I don't understand why they're shitting on him. I think maybe because they're too big, they're too famous, and I guess they hit. You know, they like to.
I always liked his drumming. He played things unorthodox, especially when you listen to One. You know, he would hit things. My friend Derek Roddy, who's an extreme metal drummer, famous drummer in that world, he used to say that Scott Rockenfield would hit drums like cymbals and cymbals like drums, and he was right. Where you would normally hit a cymbal, there's a tom instead, and in One, you know, the way he would play, you would think here comes a and he'll go and you're like, okay, I wouldn't have done that. So he does things a little bit unorthodox, I think, and very clever. He writes great drum parts that fit the music. Yeah, and I think it's a great record. I would love to hear what this really sounded like with like legit bass tracks happening.
And they hazed him too, and they put him down, and they bullied him. You know, Jason Newsted.
That sucks.
You know,
it's all part of it.
I met him when we did that metal show on VH1 Classic, and he was also filming that day, and we got to chat a little bit in the green room. Super cool guy, super nice guy, and I always was thinking, like, because what I heard was that he wanted to do another band, and that there was some beef over him doing something outside of Metallica. Of course, I don't know, but that's what I've read, and it's word on the street. So I was just thinking, wow, but his bass playing's killer, and I would love to hear what it sounded like. But as Alan's talking to, we all learned. I mean, we probably all saw the same engineer talking about, you know, Lars being in the control room and pulling the fader down and pulling the fader, you know, or whatever, and going, okay, right there, that's perfect. And then they realize the bass is totally out of the mix.
And that happens. People tend to be selective, right? And on the mix, they listen to their own parts and kind of forget everybody else.
But drums and bass are foundation instruments, and for a drummer to be like pull the bass down is crazy to me, because part of being a drummer is locking in with that bass, with the bass player. That's what you do. So yeah, it's weird.
It's okay. Alan was a bassist.
I just want to say that I can see how the Black Album would be, if it wasn't for this album, that might have been a completely different album. This is a great transition album from Master of Puppets to the next album, which is the Black Album.
Totally agree.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that until I just re-listened to it today. I mean, so
for me, you know, when the album came out, I was, you know, I loved the first three so much. It was really a big disappointment. I go, why is it so dry? Like, what is going on here? And it was a double. I think I bought the double cassette at the time, and it was it just felt so dry. And I don't know. I loved One, you know, when it came out.
Yeah, sure.
Hey,
and I do like the album. Don't get me wrong, but I just found it was odd and weird, and it just didn't sound right. But you know, people love it. 8 million albums sold worldwide.
Number 19, number 19 on the top 500. Number 19, that's pretty high.
Keep it on the list. All right. So, do we have anything else to say on this album?
Not on the album, but just to address the comments here.
Sure. Really
quick. Somebody was saying, why was he getting fired? I think that's why he was let go. And then somebody said, K-Man Reborn says, Lars constantly fell apart live, and the band were getting tired of it, was holding Metallica back. Maybe there's some confusion because Lars was never fired, so I'm not sure what that's about. Jason never got any love. He's great. I thought he was great too. Somebody asked if I'm a Flotsam and Jetsam fan. Yes, I am.
Jimmy is too. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, that's well documented, Todd. You're right, because in the Some Kind of Monster, that's what the DVD, their documentary, that's a big part of that. I mean, Lars looked at the camera and said, he's the new and we're the old. He's replacing us. So.
It's interesting, you could tell that like Lars picked up the drums really early and he got into band really early. He was probably learning as he was going along. The nice thing about learning as you're going along in a band is you sort of you become creative because you're not doing what the teacher says. So you're not really following any pattern. You're creating your own pattern. So I think by not being this trained musician, from some sort of major school, you can be different, and that's good.
And that's also the knock on him too at the same time. So
that's right. That's right.
You're right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. I don't know if that made sense. Did that make sense?
I know a guy that was a drummer, right? He was in an Iron Maiden cover band, and he can play all those parts and everything. But he's like, it's the hardest for me is Metallica, Lars, is timing and everything. It's just not natural. It's the hardest thing to kind of duplicate. So.
It's like Nico McBrain is one of the hardest drummers to copy that feel. Because he's not really like a metal drummer. He does things that are not like a metal drummer would do with his ride patterns. He plays an amazing like his primary foot is phenomenal. So he'll do like triplets and cool things with his one foot that most drummers would rely on a second bass drum to do. He's another guy that's really hard to get that feel. I mean, you can play the songs, but it's not the same as really copying and getting that same groove and feel.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You guys ready for number 4? Some good insight. Good insight. Here we go. Speaking of drummers, we're going Slayer, South of Heaven. The band slowed down a bit. They weren't as thrashy. And they said, you know what? Let's try to create a little more of a doom atmosphere. Dave Lombardo just kicking it into gear on that album. Todd?
Dude, this record's so good. I mean, I've seen him on tour. I saw the Seasons of the Abyss tour. That was the Clash of Titans tour? Were they on that Clash of Titans? I think so. Or it was Megadeth. Shit, I gotta check. Somebody help me out here.
Megadeth was on it for sure.
Yeah, Priest, I think. Alice in Chains, that was kind of their first debut tour. Anyway, what an unbelievable band. I actually saw their last go-around for their farewell thing at Wacken. We were up in the tower at front.
Yes, to Clash of the Titans, Todd.
You are correct, sir.
Okay, then I was right.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, and I would have loved to have seen Lombardo play on that farewell tour. I've met him before. He was super cool. I don't know anybody else in the band, but I'm a huge fan of Slayer's music. Some of the best rhythms out there. This is a killer record. This is a killer record because it's like more. I know it sounds weird. It's more melodic. It's more musical than like Rain and Blood, for example. But you have so many good songs on this record that you can like really groove to. There's less like full-blown blast beats and stuff on this album.
Exactly. There's a sort of vibe going on, a dark, evil, doomy vibe throughout the whole album.
Totally.
I think it's one of their best, if you ask me.
Absolutely. Phenomenal record.
And a game changer, too. Alan, I know you're not the biggest Slayer fan, but I think you could appreciate this album.
Sure.
We have to put on our 1988 hat.
Comes in
Alan.
Comes in at number 44, so they can't be wrong. No, actually, no. I listened to the early, like really the EP of Slayer, right? The Show No Mercy, I believe it was, back in the day. And it's like, this is great. And then, the money went elsewhere because we had no money to buy records. So they're just one of those bands that got lost in the shuffle for me. And but yeah, I got nothing bad to say about Slayer. This is, these are. So now we're in some of their best years, 87, 88. Some of the albums we've been reviewing is, Rain and Blood. These are their well-known albums for these.
Yeah.
It was a good year, 88, wasn't it? 88 was a great year.
So good. So good.
But for me, looking at it, I could see like thrashers really take over. And I remember at that time too, I mean, Looking back, I didn't see too many concerts that year. A handful of concerts, which wasn't normal for me, and albums too. I bought a little less in '88 than some of the other years before. So, but thrash was powerful.
Yeah. All right. And you know what? Another band that was really picking up a lot of steam in Europe and in North America, and this is the next one. This is number 3.
We're in our top 3 now.
You ready for this?
Here it is.
Oh,
okay.
Helloween.
All right.
Todd wants out.
Todd wants out. Todd, did you get a chance to listen to Helloween? I know you're not, the biggest Helloween. It's fine.
Michael Kiske.
I don't really know. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I know really many songs on that record.
Dr. Steen.
Eagles Fly Free.
I know I Want Out. I know
Rise, Fall. Rise, Fall.
Dr.
Keeper of the
Stein.
7 Keys.
I know I Want Out. That's probably it.
That's it. That's all you need to know.
Kai Hansen did want out, so.
This album was a genre-defining, solid. The production was there. The vocals are there. Everything hit the mark. For me, that is. There's so much joy when I put this album on. You got a little laughter, it's serious, and it's just their humor's always in there, right, Alan? It's always in there, and I don't know. I would think there's more major keys happening because it's very happy, sort of speed metal. Alan?
Number 36 out of top 500.
Oh, there you go.
Again, back in '88, I didn't. This was another band that I liked, but they got lost in the shuffle. I took me 20 years to go back and get everything they've ever recorded because I just think they're that much of an amazing band. But at the time, this is considered one of their top albums ever, right? So,
yeah. Todd, what did you think when you put it on? And you said, "Hey, no."
I like the first one probably because I know it better, but
yeah.
But even like I don't know, like even the song Helloween, where it's like he's saying like Linus could be right, and it's hard for me to get into lyrics that are talking about Linus and like the great.
What's wrong with Linus?
Match.
Didn't he have a blanket?
Yeah, but I'm not gonna talk about it in a song. I don't know.
You got to keep in mind, you got to cut them a little slack. English is not their first language. We always have to keep that in mind, right?
Yeah,
so Linus fits in perfectly.
Neither is accept, but at least they're saying.
Well, I don't know. Don't get me started on accept lyrics now.
Pink Bubbles Go Ape. That's all you have to remember. Pink Bubbles
what is
Go
it?
Ape. Pink Bubbles Go Ape.
Okay, that's Halloween.
But you figure that one out, Todd. You let me know. We'll do a whole show on.
Yeah. Yeah, I honestly just don't know that record very well, and again,
and that's okay. That's okay. We will not fault you for this.
Yeah, good.
You'll have to just let me and Alan ride the wave on this.
I will trust you.
Everybody else, do you agree? Number 3, Keeper of the 7 Keys, Helloween, probably one of the highlights in metal, and it was a metal album. It is definitely a metal. This ain't no David Lee Roth skyscraper. This is a power metal album, a European power metal. Speaking of Europe, here we go. You guys ready for number 2? Should I say it?
Whoa!
No surprise. Hey, everybody's out there saying, "Yeah, we were just waiting for it. Where was it going to show?" Number 2, though.
Number
that's
2.
my favorite. That's my favorite. Probably my favorite metal record of all time.
Wow.
Yes.
I saw Guns N' Roses open for them on this tour. But man, they had it all. They had the Ice Machines and Eddie.
Dude,
Right.
that record is the shit.
The shit.
I even have a tattoo that says Infinite Dreams.
Wow.
March 17th. There's my ticket. March 17th.
Ah, that's so good. I went to see that tour.
What's that?
1991 too.
$19.50.
Ooh,
$19.50 to see Guns N'
What a
Roses
steal.
open for Iron Maiden. Can you believe it? $19.50.
What year was that? 91?
It was
92?
88.
88. It was the same year, yeah. Or maybe.
We're
maybe a
an
year
hour
after.
into the show. Todd's a little unclear of the concept. Just joking.
No, I'm saying the tour.
Yeah, I
Yes,
know. I'm
yes,
teasing.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
No, it was 88 actually.
Because they were coming through Florida and they canceled the tour. And
Yeah.
I was in like 11th or 12th grade. So maybe they were doing maybe they were going to do a makeup thing, but it was.
So you didn't get to see them on that tour.
I did not get to see them. They canceled.
And
I
that
had
album,
tickets.
did that album have that effect on you the moment you heard it?
Dude, that record is why I have the vibrato I have.
Wow.
And to me, that's probably my favorite metal record of all of them.
Wow.
And it's just
In just 88 or just in just metal in general?
pick a year, I don't care.
It doesn't matter.
That's my record. That's my
Wow.
record right there. I mean, it's just so good.
For myself, I was a little disappointed.
Oh my god.
You know, seventh son of the seventh son, seventh son of the seventh son,
up.
seventh son of the seventh son. I was like,
Dude, no
what's
way.
this? What's going
Well, look,
on here? What is
No
this?
wait. The birth of the sun.
Yeah.
Come
I was
on.
like, bring back Paul Diano. As I at this point, I was like, guys,
Oh, you
I did.
nuts.
And you know what I was really disappointed in? Can I Play with Madness? I love the song, but the video. I remember when the video came out. They didn't have a new video, and back then
Graham
they really wanted
Chapman.
videos. They
From
basically
Monty
just,
Python.
They just basically chopped up them playing live or whatever it was, and
Infinite
Somebody's-
Dreams. What a song. Infinite
Somebody's
Dreams.
asking.
No, I do like this album. I do like this album a lot. Don't get me wrong. I'm just a little disappointed.
Somebody says Queen, whatever, says Iron Maiden wins this hands down. Somebody says, is he joking? I hope he's joking. I think they're talking about you. But hey,
No, I think
everything
Todd's
is subjective.
Look, I'm a first four Iron Maiden fan. First four album Iron Maiden fan. That's where I come from. I come from Phantom of the Opera era. That's where I come from.
No, if I could just play referee here, I could.
Yes.
Todd, I understand wholeheartedly. Jimmy, Maiden could do no wrong, right? Right. So, Number of the Beast, Peace of Mind, Somewhere in Time, which even the synth guitars, everybody's like, this is great, no problem. This is Iron Maiden. And this one was like, okay, wait a minute here. Now this is two in a row here, kind of a lot of synthesizers. So there was that feeling that these guys aren't perfect, but it's a great album.
It is a great album,
Coming in at number 56,
but nowhere near their best album. You got to go
56
with
out of the
Killers
top
or Iron Maiden.
500.
First. What was it? Sorry,
56.
56. Yeah, it's up there.
So yeah, no, and that tour, I mean, sold out, and it's just just great. Iron Maiden could do no wrong in the '80s. So
Yeah. But you got to understand something, Todd. Like when you were riding that seventh son of a seventh son of a seventh son, I was like, oh man, I want Phantom of the Opera. I want Running Free. I want Number of the
get
Beast. I was kind of like in more in that mode.
No, I get it.
But that's why I love Maiden, because they evolve, right? They evolve and I actually grown to love it more over time than when it first came out.
well, you got your wish on the next album because
Oh, yeah, wait a
they
minute. We gotta
decided to
before we
back-
go there. Let's
No,
not go there
I'm
yet.
talking about Iron Maiden's next album
Oh,
after this.
yes.
That they went back
Yeah,
so
no
far
prayer
that
for the dying.
that Adrian Smith left the band because they went back so far back to their roots, like Jimmy wanted. So Jimmy is the reason Adrian Smith
Yeah.
left Iron Maiden back in after Seventh Son of the Seventh Son.
Of the seventh son.
That was where they did like Tail Gunner and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They went
it would
with
be
Fear of
quicker
the
be dead.
Dark, and then after Fear of the Dark, it was No Rest for the Wicked, and
The cracks were showing as far as I was concerned. But now let's go to the hidden gems. Who's got a hidden gem they want to
before we
share with
announce number one, let's go to the
wanna
ones
do
that
some
didn't make the
hidden
list.
gems. What do
Okay,
you got,
Alan, right
Todd?
away. OU812, that's yours,
No,
right?
no.
oh,
This
honorable
is-
mentions that didn't make the list. Okay.
Here,
Yes, go
this
ahead.
guys, they opened for Guns N' Roses in their native Australia. Kings of the Sun,
Never heard of them.
one of my favorite albums of all time. It's a hard rock. Yeah, it's a pure Australian pub rock. Great. But this is a song you got to put on in the summertime with the roof is convertible going about 100 miles an hour down the highway. I mean, it's just a great album. Thanks to my good friend Jimbo the Magic Elephant. He's the guy that introduced me to this band, and I swear this is like one of my favorite albums of all time. The first album from Kings of the Sun, And they released an excellent follow-up to this, by the way. So that's 1988 for me. My hidden gem. I recommend everybody to check it out. Out of Australia.
What do you got as a hidden gem that didn't make the list that you really wanted there?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you.
I have to think. I had them written down.
Hellstar. You had Hellstar on.
I had Hellstar, and then I had Overkill.
Okay.
What is it? I think Under the Influence. And then, go figure. I'm an atheist, but there's a band called Barren Cross, a Christian metal band.
I've heard
one of my favorite bands. I mean, Atomic Arena came out. Oh man, if you like Dickinson and Dio, this guy, his name's Mike Lee. He is like a mixture of Bruce Dickinson and Ronnie James Dio, and he's just awesome. And then Stage of Intensity was another great records. Barren Cross. So yeah, those were some of my honorable. Yeah, I had Hellstar, Barren Cross, and Overkill, and I think I even mentioned Death Angel.
Oh, I love that. Oh, Frolic? No, it's Frolic in the Park. Is that it?
Yep.
We have Matthew Lee, and I was at the show reminding us that the Kings of the Sun opened for Bruce Dickinson on the Tattooed Millionaire tour here in Montreal. I was at that show.
Yeah. Oh, here's mine. Flots till death. Flotsam, no place for disgrace.
There you go.
Actually, this is the remake. This is the remake.
I missed that. Jeez.
Flotsam, what a band.
There was a lot of material, a lot of stuff in '88.
And I don't have the Cloven Hoof album, but I have Cloven Hoof albums.
He's got all of them except the one.
And the one that I wanted, it's actually Dominator. But I do have these. So I just, hats off to Cloven Hoof with their second album in 1988.
I'm still hearing Moonchild in my head.
Yeah.
I'm hearing Cloven Hoof.
Cloven Hoof.
Cloven Hoof. From UK. From the UK. Yeah.
Oh, Cloven Hoof.
Cloven
Only
Hoofy.
the good die young.
And Voivod, Dimension Hatros.
Cloven Hoof.
Yeah,
And I would-
they were making some sound at that time for sure.
There, yeah. Dimension Hatros was more of their technical album at the time. The album that...
Hold on, somebody's saying Metal Church Blessing in Disguise, that came out in '88?
It could have, yeah. It could have.
Hold on, let me look, because I'm gonna.
All right. Fact check, Alan. Alan, take a look at the book. When did it come in?
I'm not seeing it.
Sorry, what's that one? Metal Church. Let's have a look.
Blessing in Disguise.
Hold on, I gotta check.
What is our good friend?
I'm
Blessing in
seeing
Disguise, 89.
So
Okay.
next show.
Don't feel bad.
Next show.
Make a note of it.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey guys,
All right.
when they have me on for the 1989 show.
He's lobbying. He's lobbying.
Number one, we
He's
like
pushing hard.
from our sponsors. Jimmy, take it away.
All right. Have you got yourself a Metal Voice shirt yet? This is because of 10 years. This is a 10
That's the
year.
original. Yeah.
That's the original shirt. There's only one of them. Yep. 10 years. There's only one of them. I went to the mall. I go, can you write the Metal Voice?
In an
They wrote
Iron
for me.
Maiden font.
In Iron Maiden font, exactly.
That's worth
And I figured I
$3.
better not sell the Iron Maiden font because,
$3.16. That shirt's worth.
Yeah.
Canadian.
Now it's worth a lot more. Okay, here we go. All right. You ready for
Number
this?
one. Drum roll.
And before we even say
Drum
anything,
roll.
don't say nothing yet. Hold on. Don't say nothing. Don't say. I mean, I think it's fitting. Todd's here.
Yes.
He could give us his opinion on this album and what it means to him. And I think that's what I'm going to say. So everybody, guess what we're going to pick as number one before we say anything. All right. Riot Thundersteel. Nope, that was number 5. Come on, you guess.
Kingdom Come.
Queensrwche. I see 2 Queensrwche. I see Forbidden Evil, badass album. Anthrax. What was Anthrax, Alan? It was
State of Euphoria, was it?
my eye is dripping. Okay, Queensrwche, Anthrax, Milli Vanilli. I think they were at their peak by then, right? Milli Vanilli? Were they not?
Wrong show, Jim.
Hey, where can people get the Metal Voice shirt?
Oh, you just click in the link
Okay.
on
so
the video
I need to
description.
get
There
one.
you go. Thank you, Todd. Thank you
Perrin,
for rerouting the traffic.
Perrin likes King's X, Out of a Silent Planet. That's who
Welcome
he's
to
voting
Operation
for.
Mind Crime. Circle to Circle, Mind Crime.
I listened to Fate's Warning, No Exit. I did listen to that this week.
Nice.
Let's up.
Yeah. Maybe it was what I was listening on, but I struggled with the drum sound on the snare drum on that. I don't know why. Maybe it's something.
I think it's unanimous here. We're looking at a 90%. hit
Hey,
on
hold on.
Operation Mindcrime. Here we go. Let's do this. Let's do this.
Wait, Alan. Before you say it, where did this next album rank in the book?
Oh, yes.
It made the top 10, coming in at number 7.
Wow, that's huge.
And let me tell you, this album.
Alan blew it, right?
Come on, guys. I mean, no surprise. Oh my gosh. When I listen to this, it life changer. Really. I can see where it came in at number 7 because this is one of my top 10 albums of all time.
I want to know what number 6 is.
Number 6? That's no problem.
Keep in mind, Todd, this is number 7
1988
of all-time albums.
I know.
Yeah.
Number 6.
I didn't have anything to do with it, but great.
Our nice friend here at Martin Popoff is number 6 is Paranoid, Black Sabbath.
Yeah. Okay. I would say it's
and number 8, because I know you're going to ask me next, 8 was Peace of Mind, Iron Maiden.
Yeah, I can see that. What's number 2?
So,
Number the Beast.
I want to know 5 now.
Let's just focus.
What's number 2?
Guys, let's focus. Let's remain focused. I mean, talking about a concept album, and like I said on the previous show, Rage for Order just didn't light my boat. It didn't make it happen for me. So I kind of tested the water. I let some friends buy this first because I didn't really know what to expect. And man, when I heard it, I just fell in love with it right away. It just inspired me. I was making movies at the time, and I just wanted to do a whole movie based on this character and dystopia, and a youth that drug addled, that's being influenced by this nefarious Dr. X and sex, drugs, and I mean, just the whole story was unbelievable. And it really had that. It's one of the few albums that had that much of an effect on me, I have to say.
And Todd, before you get into it, so the many times that we did speak to Jeff, and he told us about the making of this album, and it was recorded in Montreal. Right? It was recorded here, and it was recorded at the famous Le Studio. It's about north of Montreal, and it's a nice little retreat. It's no longer there anymore. He told us about, the characters. There was this bar in Montreal. Oh my God, I can't remember. It's on Saint Denis Street.
Yeah.
And
a little bit of a nationalist bent.
Yeah, there's this Quebec separatist movement, which was sort of like this movement that was happening. And I'm not saying it was about it. He just he was inspired by that. And the characters were people in the bar in Montreal. So just a little bit of background for those of you who don't know the Montreal connection. Todd, now you're the current singer of Queensrwche, and you sing these songs. What does it mean to you?
This is a great perspective to have.
This is a great ring, the phone ring at night.
It's funny because Michael's ringtone sounds exactly like the ringtone on the record, where it goes, hello, and it goes down. Every time his phone rings, I go wow. It's the first Queensrwche record that's how I learned of them. It is not my favorite Queensrwche album. Mm-hmm. The Warning is my favorite Queensrwche album from of all of them. I like Seventh Son better, but as a body of work, it is a better full body of work. I mean, a concept album is so hard to do and to execute properly. Not only does the story have to chronologically make sense, it has to tell itself. You have to have the music also. Like, how do you tell the story that the words match the story and the vibe? And then the music also has to coincide with that part of the story, and where everything is seamless and flows as one body of work. As a single body of work, it is by far one of the greatest ever albums written of any genre of any time.
I agree.
It's always been compared to a parallel, if you will, to like The Wall.
Yeah,
okay. It's that good, it's that profound, it's that influential, etc. And rightfully so that record made the top 10. I like the Maiden stuff because it's just more metal, but I love Operation Mindcrime as a full album. It's phenomenal. We play a lot of songs from it every night. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing bad to say about the record by any means. The production's great. The concept, people 30 years later will go up to the guys and be like, so who killed Mary? Like, people still talk about the storyline 3 decades later.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy crap. I mean, that's a massive, I mean, Jeff's voice was phenomenal on that record. Everything was just,
The drums, everything.
You know what? It's 2 parting comments. It's funny because, you know, I've been in the band. This year will be 9 years and 4 records that we're doing now. Album number 4 with me. And people will say, you know, the stuff with Todd sucks. It's nothing like those days. And I'm thinking, but Queensrwche never did another Mind Crime. They put out a record called Mind Crime 2, which, as everyone knows, wasn't even close to Mind Crime. Okay.
Ballsy move.
Even the band with original members never captured that lightning in a bottle again. It's an amazing feat, and hats off to those guys. I mean, it's phenomenal. Lastly, I'm outspoken. People know that. I'm not going to be muzzled. I say what I want to say. It's amazing in our political climate how people will tell me to shut the F up and don't talk about politics. And Mind Crime is one of their favorite records of all time. And, you know, don't talk about politics, or I don't want to hear politics in your music. Just, you know, I'm thinking, do you have any idea that Queensrwche has always been a band that talks about the political climate and sociological and geopolitical affairs? Like, what the hell? And you know what? Those lyrics are tried and true, and they still hold up today. And the stuff that we write even now are along those similar lines. Granted, it's not a haven't written a concept record, but those themes are interwoven still today in our music. So yeah, I mean, it's not a surprise that people would choose this record. It's a very coveted record. But but the guys in the band, a lot of them, their favorite record is Rage.
You know, my favorite record is Rage. Then I would probably say The Warning, and then Operation Mind Crime. And I
would say the other way. I would say, for me, Warning, Rage, Mind Crime.
Yeah. I was kind of like, when this album first came out, they were on Rage. They became more experimental, like Rush-ish, right? And then they switched to hard rock. Maybe because the thrash scene was coming out. It sounded like the keyboards all disappeared all of a sudden, right? It was really weird how it just came. They went back to sort of like the EP in a sense, right? And then they had this sort of Pink Floyd, I wouldn't call it Pink Floyd, but it's sort of like a interwoven sort of each song connecting to each other with a little sound bites in between, right? And I gotta say that every song on this album is a knockout. There's not a boring song on it.
Not a filler on it.
There's no filler. And that's what just blows my mind. And I was a little disappointed at first, the first week, let's say, that it was a little more hard-edged than Rush. But over time, and I've listened to this album like thousands of times.
Sure.
Yeah, thousands of times.
Just for the two of you, I got a special treat.
Stiff Rod's here.
Operation Live Crime. And does anybody remember what a VHS tape looks like?
Oh, yeah.
There it is.
So in Michael's house, you know, he's got his gold and platinum records on the walls. And he has that, like, it's like a silver looking cassette and the VHS and all that stuff. So here's something for you. See that bass in that picture?
Right here.
So that's what Eddie tracks the bass on our records with now.
There you go.
And he'll, you know, when we record, there's a bunch of paint chipped off of it. And I was like, oh man, you know, are you ever gonna get that? Like, do you just leave it that way? Or he's like, nah, I just leave it that way. And he takes his finger and he goes chink, and he takes a chip of paint about the size of a quarter off, and he goes, here, you can have it. He puts it on my studio desk. I was like, wow, I have a piece of history here. And we were recording with Zeus, and I go, hey, Eddie, chip off some paint, give a piece to Zeus. And he goes like, like it's bread, fucking pass it around, right? So he's like, oh yeah, you want some? He's like, no, dude, you don't have to like do that. I go, no, dude, scratch some fucking paint off and give it to him. And Eddie, he's like, yeah, and he just boom, and he takes a chunk of paint off of that same base that is in that thing that you're holding up.
Yeah.
And he gives it, and Zeus was like, it was like holding the pick of destiny. He's like,
The pick of destiny.
He's like,
Makachu, was it Wakachu? Was the little town of Pick of Destiny?
Anyway, yeah. So he's like, he still records like The Verdict, all those records I've done. He plays with that same bass that he recorded Mindcrime and Empire and everything with.
And you know what, Todd? Michael Wilton. Okay, I don't think people always think DeGarmo. They always think Tate, but Wilton. He played such a role in the music of this album, right? I mean, when you look at the credits, I mean, he co-wrote almost half the album, right?
Yeah, and Michael, I mean, he also wrote Empire. I mean, he wrote, he's written some of the biggest hits, and he's written deep cuts. Yeah. Because we'll be together, and I'll be like, I call him Whip or Mike. I'll be like, hey, Mike, I say, who wrote this song? And I'll say the song, and I'll be like, oh, me and Chris wrote that, or I wrote that, and then Chris came in with the chorus or something, or he started out with this, and then and he tells me he knows every nook and cranny of that, all that stuff. I remember hearing Walk in the Shadows at Michael's on a demo cassette with DeGarmo singing it. Because he had written, and I think he wrote the lyrics and melodies to Walk in the Shadows, and I'm listening to Chris DeGarmo singing on this demo tape, and I was like, wow, like, who's heard that? He's like, very few people have heard that. And but you're right, Jimmy. Look, man, you can come up with some power chords and write something, and then you go, Michael, like, Reichify it, like, let's, and he'll take it and give it back to you, and you're like, God damn, that sounds like Queensrwche now. How does he do that? It's amazing how Michael, and I'll say, wow, that sounds like Queensrwche. He goes, no shit, I am cool, he's
the unsung hero in the band. He's the unsung hero.
I've only been in the band
for, really is. And yeah, but he's definitely written. I mean, if you just look at the credits, and it doesn't matter. I mean, the guy is hands down, is the sound of Queensrwche, even though DeGarmo's he's been out of the band longer than he was in it. Sure. He was an amazing talent, and those two together were just
golden.
Awesome. Golden. Yeah. But yeah, and DeGarmo, I've had dinner with him and lunch with him, and he's a super nice guy. He's really cool. He totally supports what we've been doing. And
is he still flying?
Yeah,
still flying.
Yeah, Michael plays golf with him sometimes, and yeah, he's a really nice guy. And yeah, I mean, cool. what a gem of an album.
And a good. The Empire tour, I remember seeing it, and they had Roads to Madness right off of The Warning, right? And then they led right into this album here, Operation Mindcrime, and they played the whole thing. The whole thing. It was unbelievable. And then, of course, we saw them do Operation Live Crime 1 and 2, Mindcrime 1 and 2, and that back-to-back. That was just another great show decades later, where we were able to see the whole concept, the two concepts put together.
To Todd's point, I have that DVD, and Mindcrime 2 kind of, with the exception of Ronnie James Dio in there, it just didn't have that
ballsy move. It's like doing Dark Side of the Moon 2, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
it's just, almost impossible.
It's really ballsy. But you know what? From what I've been told, there was not a consensus on naming the album that by other band members, and but I think by default, obviously, they knew, whoever they knew that there would be by default massive album sales when you call the next record, Operation Mindcrime 2. Like that's such.
I was the first time buyer there when that album, when Mindcrime 2 came out. I ran and I bought it, and I was kind of like, I love the first song. I'm American, right? And then it kind of gets thin and it gets thin. Will it make our top 10 list of 1999? I guess. When was it? I don't remember when it was.
No,
released.
2000
Mindcrime 2, I don't know.
Oh, 2000. Okay.
But well, 2000 something, I guess. But no, again,
I did like Dio's. I did love Dio's.
I did.
Dr.
I did
X.
too. I did too.
Yeah. How can you not like Dio? How can you not like?
But yeah, the man, when you write something like that,
That's right.
it's like it's same with a movie, right? Like you see a movie and it's just like it's a blockbuster. It's winning all these awards. It's so respected, and then they're like gonna come up with a follow up. You're like,
Jaws 2 did not hit the mark. Jaws 2 was not Jaws.
Here's what the problem, as you guys know, the problem when you do that is the default position right out of the gate is you're putting it in, you're drawing a line in the sand saying it's that fucking good. And there's only one way to go from there. You can't go higher. It's going to be, it's as good or it's not as good. And it's probably not going to be as good. You're better off. Maybe you are clever and you take a twist, something from Mindcrime, and now you segue that. If you're continuing the story, then maybe you name the record something that ties in with Mindcrime, but you don't call it Mindcrime 2. That was a very bold move, and I don't think it served well in the end.
You know, I think the premise was good. I kind of liked it 20 or 25 years later. I love that premise. I just think the execution was just not there. I think it was ballsy. I wanted them to do it. I wanted them to succeed at the time. It just, you know, it was a not so great album.
I agree with both.
It.
I agree with both of you. I went and bought it so that the strategy worked, and but I also knew as I'm buying it, I'm saying, well, there's no way this is going to be as good, and they got my money.
Yeah.
So the strategy worked. I kind of bought it with a little smile, a little wink. Okay, guys, I'll support you. And I'm anxious. I was just curious to see what it was going to sound like. So.
Yeah. Fuck me once, shame on me.
yeah.
What, spreading the disease. Do you sing that high part on the chorus?
We haven't played that. Yeah, spreading the octave higher. Yeah, I can do that. We haven't done that song in years. I mean, normally what we play off of it is
Eyes of a Stranger.
We were doing like Anarchy X into Revolution Calling. We do Eyes of a Stranger, obviously. We do The Mission. We do I Don't Believe in Love. We used to do Empty Room into Eyes, which I think we should bring back because I always like that. What else is on there?
Sister Mary, right?
Yeah, we did that a few times. I did that with Pamela. She joined us on.
Oh wow!
Wow.
That's cool. Yeah, that's great.
But yeah, I mean, there's what else am I missing on the record?
I don't know. I gotta take a look.
No, you put The Needle Lies. The Needle Lies.
We play The Needle Lies.
Yeah. Electric
Speak
Requiem.
the word.
Speak the word.
Oh man, just I'm gonna go listen to this. I gotta listen to this after this.
You know, it's funny because I put it on and I realized, man, I've heard this album so many times. It's one of those albums. It's like I've heard it so many times.
Yeah,
it's just
Actually, I had a good time.
Classic.
I was listening to Warning because I've heard Rage for Order like more times than I've heard Mindcrime, and I put on Warning. It was just a pleasant experience. I go, wow, I haven't heard this album in a long time.
So good.
Such a great album. Wow, what a great album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
all right. Last question for everybody out there. What songs would you like Todd to sing on the next Queensrwche tour? Top 10 songs that you'd like to see.
Oh,
Todd,
said
LaTorre.
Breaking the Silence. We play Breaking the Silence.
Breaking the Silence. Great song. So,
what an album.
name your top 10 songs. Oh, my audio is panning. It keeps panning. I got a mic problem here. My Yeti.
I mean, it's like automatically panning.
It kind of like, yeah, it's going back and forth.
Is that a new mic?
Well, it's not new. It's old, but I guess I got to get a new mic.
I use the SM7, the SM7B. That's actually what I record on the Queensrwche records.
But it's not USB, right? You need
Right.
one of those compressor things there, right?
Yeah, just an interface. Why is that USB?
There's USB right into maybe that's what the problem
Sounds
is.
good though.
It sounds good to you guys, but what happens is when it goes onto the live stream, it kind of starts panning for some bizarre reason. I don't know.
Oh, somebody says the Lady Wore Black. We did that for years. I did the Lady Wore Black. Somebody said they have the SM57.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great mic. SM7B needs phantom power.
Yeah.
They're saying, I for anybody that gives a shit, I sing through an SM. Look, when I did the first Queensrwche record I did with him, I sang through a U87, the Neumann.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like a $4,000 or $5,000 mic probably, into a Neve, and a Universal Audio. That was the chain. What I use now personally for me, when we did Condition Human, we were testing all these different mics, and Zeus was like, we both liked the SM7, and it's just like a broadcaster's mic. They're like $350, brand new at Guitar Center. They sound amazing. I'm actually a baritone, and it picks up the warmth.
Oh yeah.
It's not a tinny. It's not a.
Hi everybody.
It's not a tinny sounding mic, and so I go into a Great River mic preamp into a distressor compressor into Pro Tools.
Brought to you by
our sponsor.
All right.
She's one Harvey. So no Sanctuary on the last tour. Child of Fire. I would like to bring back Child of Fire and like maybe The Warning or Enforce.
Wow, that's a good song too. Yeah.
Anything off dedicated to chaos.
Before the storm.
Chaos.
Anything off dedicated to chaos. I know Alan was asking me.
Defecated to chaos. No.
All right. No. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, on that note,
we did the top 10.
Top 10. And if you just started watching now, rewind.
Somebody asked if Seventh Son. It came in at number 2.
Yeah, number 2. Well, and Ozzy No Rest. That's the only one we did. It came in at 287 out of the top 500. And Martin Poprop's Encyclopedia of Top 500.
I got to get that book. I got to get that.
It's a fun, and it's just because Martin, look what he writes about every album. Like, you know, how do you even find the words to describe 500 albums? You know what I mean?
Is that a signed copy, Alan?
No.
How do I get a signed copy?
Just tell Martin to give you a signed copy. Martin. I'm sure he's all good.
That would be amazing.
But it's great. He has all the interviews he's done. He talks about the album, but then like he's got like Glenn Tipton talking about Defenders of the Faith, you know, or Paul Stanley on Destroyer, like. Because of all his years of doing interviews. So it's just a fantastic read. The Shakespeare of Metal.
Martin must crank out a book a month.
Dude,
that's his job, though. He cranks and he does it well.
You know, Eddie Trunk is always like, oh, he knows all the history of the bands. I would love to see a head-to-head with that guy, because that guy knows it all.
The Royal Rumble.
Well, if we put Martin on, he's going to all put us to shame. That's the thing, right? I mean, Martin's graciously puts us, you know, he puts a lot of the Metal Voice stuff in his books, like in Accept and in Riot and all the interviews that we've done. He sort of,
wow, that's great.
Yeah. And Iron Maiden and all that. So it's really cool. We're a part of it. We're friends. We're all friends. And he's been on the show many times. Yeah.
I've watched episodes with him, and I mean the knowledge, but like that's a lot of information.
Yeah, that's what he does, you know, and that's what if that's what you do, you're good at it, right?
Hey, Martin's got a book of Led Zeppelin, every song off of every album.
Yeah,
that's the book.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. I mean, and
he's probably got a book on you for all you know.
He's done Rush before.
I don't know if I'm in any of those heavy metal. If I'm mentioned in these things.
Maybe.
I don't know. Hey, you've got the Metal Voice, Todd. What more do you want?
That's right. Just being on this show, he'll probably quote you.
Hey,
yeah. I got no respect.
What do you want?
No respect. Let me tell you.
All right.
All right.
Martin. Okay.
We
Okay.
did the
Here we
top
go.
10.
That's it, guys. Got a lot of Josh Wood is a walking encyclopedia. Yes, he is. Josh Wood from Metal Rules. If you've ever been interviewed by him, Josh is a great guy. Super smart. All right, I'm getting tired. I think we all are.
Yep. No, thank you very much.
It's great hanging.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks for having me.
Very controversial album that was released in '88 as well.
So good.
Extremely controversial.
The Greta Van Fleet of its time.
Yes.
Way better.
Don't get me started.
Alan doesn't like that.
Don't get me started
people
either.
say,
These guys got roasted.
I like Greta Van Fleet.
Right?
I like Greta Van Fleet.
And Greta
people
Van
say, oh, you sound like Led Zeppelin. Well, you know what? Every band after Led Zeppelin sounded like Led Zeppelin.
Listen. Here's my issue. When you stand, even the hand gestures are so bullshit. The clothing, it's not, dude. Sorry, I shouldn't be like that because hey, art is art.
Be careful what you say.
Yeah, I know.
Be careful what you say. Me and Alan can say whatever we want. Nothing will happen.
On my back.
You're like in blabbermouth like every day.
Hey, look. All right, ready? I think Greta Van Fleet is very talented.
Good. I do too.
No.
But Alan doesn't think so.
No.
I think they're talented.
I agree with Todd. Let me just put this perspective. These guys, Ozzy wrote a song with Gary Moore called Lead Clones. That's how much these guys were hated at that time. And basically it's just Lenny Wolf's voice, right? Lenny Wolf, yeah. And because musically, they're nothing compared to Zeppelin. It was just the voice. And these guys got roasted. And now Greta Van Fleet, which I would say would be even more of, I don't want to say the word unoriginal, but more paying their homage to their heroes even more than these guys. And they're the toast of the town. I sit back and just say it's ironic how 30 or 40 years makes a difference where people are in so dire need to hear that classic rock sound. They're willing to accept anything. Whereas these guys were destroyed. Their career was over after this album sold a lot.
You know what, Alan? It was different because Kingdom Come and bands like them were sort of propped up by the record company to sound a certain way. I think Greta Van Fleet, they're in their garage. They came out with an album. They just loved the music and they just played that music and they grew their audience that way from the ground up. They weren't, and now the big record companies are behind them, but now they don't sound like Led Zeppelin anymore too much.
No, now they sound like Rush.
Hey, real quick on a different note, I want to answer this person's question.
All right.
Okay.
First of all, I don't know what K-Man says to me, like unclean, Todd, unclean. Does that mean uncool? I don't know.
He's from Scotland. He's from Scotland, so that could just mean something completely
Does that
different.
mean not cool? I don't know.
He doesn't agree that your mic gives you that much of a clean sound. Your microphone choice is unclean.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
I don't know what that meant.
Okay.
Did
You've done me dirty. I've learned that new expression. You've done me dirty. That means.
Okay, and then somebody asked, and I'm not trying to shamelessly plug my record, but somebody asked, where can I get a signed vinyl?
Right here.
And the thing is I don't have any vinyls where the cover is signed, but I do carry an album with an album flat that's signed by myself and Craig, and then the backside there's a photograph that's signed as well, so you can pick which side you want. If you go to my website toddlatorre.com, click on the shop tab, that'll take you to the merch page. You can see what's available there. If you want anything autographed for a vinyl, I just have an album flat that comes with the record. So
and what about this cassette? How many copies of that cassette are made?
I don't know how many we made. I really don't know.
I can't
Does
believe
anybody
they're
have a
making
cassette player.
I can't believe cassettes are making a comeback.
Dude,
I mean, what about CDs? When are they going to make a comeback?
I don't know if it's true, but I heard that vinyl is outselling CDs.
Yeah.
Which is
last year was the first year they outsold. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, K-Man saying that it's Greta Van Fleet he was referring to. I was talking about Greta Van Fleet, Todd.
Oh, what? I don't know what unclean means. Maybe that guy can reply. What does unclean mean before we hang up?
What about reel to reel? Is I making a big comeback there, Alan? That's what somebody said.
8-track. 8-track is the way to go.
You know what? I could see 8-track making a big comeback.
I remember my mom. She had
You could drop them and they never break.
and we would put the 8-track tape in. Do you have any 8-tracks?
Well, my dad.
I don't have any 8-tracks.
My dad.
I
had
never
a lot
understood
of
the
8-tracks.
concept. You're listening to a concept album like "Wish You Were Here," Pink Floyd, and right in the middle of the guitar solo here.
Oh.
What are you guys doing?
My dad had the 8-track cassette converter. So
What is that?
back then, your car had it was built for an
Oh.
8-track, right? So you put the 8-track
I
in,
get it.
but because cassettes were starting to take off, you get this
Portable
sort of
cassette player.
that's right. You put the cassette in the 8-track sort of
Oh,
delivery system,
and
then you
like
put
you
it
do
in.
with a camcorder thing. You can put the small camcorder in the VCR tape, and it expands the tape, so you can put that into a VCR.
So you could listen to your cassettes on an 8-track sort of mechanism.
Wow.
Yeah, I was wondering when they'll have a turntable in a car.
I'm sure.
So you put your records on, and then you could just play them.
Yeah, but how?
as you're
But how are you
driving.
going to get it to not skip?
That's well, the technology. I mean, we're going to put a guy on Mars soon, so you figure they could figure that out. Just call Elon Musk. We'll get it done. All right.
There we go. Well, guys, thank you for another top 10, very enlightening show. And man, you got to get your pencil sharpened for 89.
That's right. What's going to happen in 89? Was it a good year? I don't remember.
Time will tell.
There
Time
was
will
a
tell.
nice little period of awesomeness that
So-
happened before,
Grunge.
Nirvana and all that.
I like Nirvana.
I'm sorry.
I like that first album.
There you go. Well, Todd, thank
After
you
that, it
as
was all
always.
downhill.
It was acquired for me. When it first came out, I didn't like it. And then after a while, I was like, all right, I guess, this is.
Because I was like punk. I was like punk, and it's got that punk element there.
What I'm hearing is Jim's already started a controversy if grunge groups will be accepted in a top 10 on a metal show.
It's going to be interesting. 1992.
He's
I'll tell you
laying
that
down
much.
the groundwork.
1992 will be like this grunge metal. war.
Soundgarden metal.
All right.
I'm very opinionated, and so I could get in a lot of trouble.
You know what, Todd? Like every day you're in the news. You just say whatever, and you're in the news. Me and Alan, we could say whatever we want. We'll never be in the news, unless our guests are in the news.
I say, I can't say anything.
I know. You could just say, "I like water." Todd LaTorre, he likes water. How dare he?
Yeah, what the fuck? Hug a tree.
What's wrong with him?
Yeah, dude, you know what? I don't give a shit. When people stop talking about you, that's when you.
Exactly.
That's when you were.
That's how I look at it too. You got people begging for advertising and begging to be, some sort of fame, and they're
Dude,
waiting for every word. They're waiting for every word. What's Todd going to say next?
Well, I don't know.
Is he
I
getting
don't
his
know who it
vaccine?
is.
Is he getting his vaccine? What's going to happen?
Somebody.
Is it the first dose or the second?
Yeah, somebody's listens. They'll watch this whole thing and they'll look for that soundbite. They'll look for that title, and the problem is, it's the. This guy says, "I think Todd wants to fight me for saying unclean." No, I don't want to fight.
I want to see a fight.
I just actually I want to fight a lot of motherfuckers, but it's not you. I just don't know what you mean by unclean. It's just
I'd like to see a Queensrwche Greta Van Fleet tour. That's what I want to see. I'll go to Vegas to see that. I will go to Vegas to see that.
I'll tell you this. They draw
Damn
very
right.
respectable numbers.
I like Greta Van Fleet.
They're very talented.
Well,
they're
nobody else.
no menudos. They're no menudos. They do their own music. They sing their own music. They write their own music. They're three brothers. And a friend.
I don't know if I know there's two. Maybe
There's
it's
three.
the
There's
third.
three. Two twins and the lead
Just-
singer and
just
the two
like,
brothers bass and guitar.
Just like Mama Boys, right? Mama's Boys from the 80s, right? The three brothers.
There you go. The girl mama's boy.
All right,
I'm
guys.
tired, man.
Thank you,
Okay,
Todd.
so you know
Once
what?
again,
Thanks, Alan. Thanks,
it's
Jimmy.
been a fantastic show. Glad to have your perspective on the #1 album of 1988, Mr. Queensrwche with Operation Mindcrime. And I hope everybody enjoyed it. And we're looking forward to doing 89.
Yep.
And you know
I
what?
mean,
All press.
If
I just want to say something. I appreciate all press that you get and we get and everybody gets. And that's very, it's like when people aren't paying attention, that's when you should be worried, you know.
You know what would be nice? It would be nice when I do an interview about the record and then I'm asked one question and then I answer the question and then that becomes the headline and it has nothing to do that I spent 45 minutes talking about my record. It's this stupid soundbite about something else, you know, and it's like the context isn't there. But these aren't real journalists. These are hacks. It's yellow press. There's no integrity. It's for advertising dollars. And I get that. I don't respect it, but I get it. So
You know what?
maybe
as long as it's nothing malicious and mean, that's how I look at it. As long as it's all,
if it's not malicious and mean, look, many sites will put things in context.
Mhm.
That's all that you want to look. What I say is what I say. I'll own every word that I say. If you don't wear a mask, you're a fucking asshole. That could be out. That could be out tomorrow. I don't give a shit. Okay. Put it in context.
All right.
All right. See, now the metal voice will be on our website tomorrow.
There we go.
So, what do you think about Joe Biden?
It's like top 10 albums.
Top
need to
10
wear a mask.
mistakes made by Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Let's not go there. Okay, next time.
All right, guys.
All right,
Thank you
man.
very much.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, Todd. Stay well.
Ciao.